Yeah, because I also get into a lot in contact a lot of brands. They say that we are sustainable, and of course sometimes they do with their material, but the factories they work with, they don't support the ethical production. So I says that it does not complete, the mission behind it, because you have to be more sustainable, of course, but being ethical too, because a human being, they should get their rights. It's
Yeah,
not something that
it
you
impacts human rights. And there's,
right.
I'm trying to remember the figures. I think it's a 4 point something million children that are working in these factories,
Right. I
basically
was one of
sweatshop.
them. I
Oh,
remember.
see, you
Yes.
could just you I would love to hear your story. And I know people that worked in these sweatshops. And I'm thinking of one particular person. She shared her story, and she was saying that, when she actually couldn't remember how old she was. She was maybe like 10 or 12.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that she would remember, because she couldn't leave where she was making the clothing. She couldn't leave at all. And so she
Right.
would be in this, 10 by 10 space with, three other workers, and they would sleep on top of, the t-shirts that were being made. And she said she would go to sleep crying on them. And sometimes she would wish that she'd be like, if those that are buying these shirts, if they could feel my tears, they would stop
Wow.
this. And it was
Man,
so, it was,
I
that
can
was
feel her
so.
pain behind that.
Yeah, but and I'd love to hear your story, because it's just, I mean, you understand it, you get it.
I totally do.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's if you're buying a t-shirt, just think about it for a consumer perspective. If you're buying a t-shirt and that costs you $2, can you explain me the math that you think it's the ethically made, the $2 t-shirt? How can it
Oh,
be?
it can't. It comes at the cost. It comes at the cost of the worker. That's so if you're buying something that's like retail in the stores, that's $10. Like it's like, say, a $5 or $10 t-shirt, and you're like looking at it and you're like, wow, this is so cheap. Like, this is really hard to believe. How did anybody make this for the? Well, it came at a cost.
Right.
It's someone else's livelihood that it's costing them. It's costing their health, their freedom, because
Right.
this is enslavement. I mean, when you
Exactly.
have, it's just not, it's not an ethical way of living. It's not human justice. It's not human rights. It's no one should be in that situation where they're forced to work those long hours,
Right.
and at such a young age.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're giving up so much. So yeah, if you see a $5 t-shirt, just know that no, there's no way possible. When they say, if something's too good, there's
Mm-hmm.
something that's just, it's just not something
Not good to be
not right
true.
about it.
Right.
Yes, it's too good to be
Right.
true. and
Right.
and you have to go with that. It's not ethically made.
And of course, as you mentioned, you were here and you were working more than 12 hours a day with a 7 days shift. And,
Yeah,
at the end of that, 6 or 7
6 hours,
days.
6 to 7 days a week. Yeah,
Right.
sometimes I
And,
remember going for several weeks without a day off.
right. And I remember not too long ago, just about 2.5 years ago, I was working for over 130 hours a week. So, and not being paid as a minimum of what it should be, because I have to keep up with all the things. I have to support the family. And, these are the things that happening behind the fast fashion and
Yeah.
in the industry, and about being not just the fast fashion, but out the other industries, because I believe being ethically, having the ethical practices is so important, that because why we say that we are here and we deserve all the rights, with the person who's working somewhere else, or working in Colombia, or the north or the south, they don't deserve that. Why they're working, why they're not going to the school,
Yeah,
why they don't
exactly.
have the access to the school, to the hospitals, or the things.
Yeah, because a lot of, so the countries that are overproducing and harming our planet, they're usually in, countries that are in the south. Those are the ones that are paying for all the destruction that the north has been creating. And that's because they can't do it in their own country. Like, sweatshops are not allowed in the United States, although they still exist.
Yeah.
But they do get inspected, and so they have to be more careful. And of
Right.
course they have to, especially with SB 62 that passed, with the garment workers down Los Angeles. And well, basically, it's been a trickle effect that a lot of companies now have to pay per hour, have to pay the workers here in the United States in Los Angeles or in California per hour as opposed to per piece, because when they were
Right.
getting paid per piece, they were only making like $2, 250 an hour. So
Exactly.
so they find like, oh well, we can't, that's too much money for us to pay, so
Mm.
we'll go pay another country, like say in India, and there's no regulations, to prevent that. So
Right.
so they'll continue their unethical practices in other countries,
Right.
and that's really just, it's harmful. It's harmful for humanity. It should not exist that way. Fashion should be ethical, it should be just, it should be responsible, it should be clean fashion.
Right. It does not has to be for somebody who's sleeping on the t-shirts and crying about it.
No,
So,
no, and the
you
thing is,
know,
the consumer, if they knew, and I think that's where there's that bridge of misinformation or not having the right information. But the consumer, once they know, and I speak this from my own experience, because doing these fashion shows or art exhibitions, or through my films, because or education, through teaching classes,
Right.
when I give them this information, a lot of times 70% of the time is like, I didn't know, and now I just can't look away. Like, now that I know, I cannot support that anymore. So
Right.
most consumers will do the right thing, but
Right.
it's for them to, it's not until they learn about it. So that's the part
Exactly.
that I'm trying, yeah, and that's the part that I'm trying to change. I'm trying to make that social impact. I'm trying to make that behavioral mindset, so that
Right.
they're aware. And that's what brought me to taking that leap of just being, besides a slow fashion designer and an upcycler, to get into film, is because I just wasn't seeing that reach being so quick, where a film can galvanize more people. And
Right.
so for me, it's just not changing fast enough. The industry's not shifting to becoming a just industry quick enough for me. We're destroying our planet, and what does the youth have to look forward to?
Right.
And so that's what I'm thinking constantly, all the time. I mean, that's my mission, because I think about these young generations, that what is their planet going to look like, and what are my children, my future grandchildren's lives going to be about?
Exactly.
I don't want to leave this planet knowing that I left it in shambles. I want to make sure that while I'm here, that I can make as much change as possible. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to hear
So
that my grandchildren can make kids so after 2040.
yeah,
So,
yeah. And look at the
oh
numbers,
gosh.
because like I said, it's the numbers are high, but it might not be quite the 70%.
I
It
get
might
that.
be more.
No, hopefully not.
Yeah.
I pray not.
Yeah, but it is very the toxins, the microplastics, they are extremely harmful on our
Right.
on the human system, the endocrine system, and in our planet. I mean,
Right.
they say right now there's more microplastics in our oceans than the stars in the universe. Like, phew. Like, let that sink in. Like, it's
Wow.
just, there's so many stars in the universe. The universe is infinite, right? So now there's more microplastics in the stars in the universe. That means our microplastics are infinite. That means every time you scoop up water in the Antarctic, there's microplastics in it. Like if you're testing,
Wow. That's
But let's just make sure that we do share hope, and that's what I
Yes.
always like to do, is I always like to share that there are solutions, and
There
there
are.
is hope. There's a
Yes.
lot of innovations. There's worms that dissolve microplastics.
right.
There are very incredible innovations. There's, I'm working right now with a company that produces seaweed and makes bioplastics from seaweed, and I'm excited because they're probably going to be involved with their film, hopefully.